Well, welcome back everybody. It's June 26th on a Saturday, and nothing but you know, adventure going on here in my house. And I guess I just want to update you on some more of my detrashing projects. Took some time to get rid of these satellite dishes. One was DirecTV and one was for satellite internet connection, which was the only type of connection available at my house when we moved here a year and a half ago. We've now since got a AT&T hotspot, and there's an AT&T tower right down there, and we get really good signal up here. So yanking those down, here's that video. That was scary. I've just been on a roll of like losing skin lately. Don't worry, it was empty. I waited for this day. All right, I've been wanting to get these 2 dishes plus another dish mount from a previous tenant off of this house. One of the dishes, that big dish, was satellite internet, because when we moved here a year and a half ago, there was no internet at all up here, hardwired, DSL, anything, dial-up, nothing. So satellite was the only way to go, and it worked for a while. We were getting like 25 to 30 Mbps, and then after a few months it died down to like 0.01 to 0.03, maybe 1 Mbps. So we were really frustrated with that. We have video cameras, we have, you know, internet devices like everybody else. And then a little while back, this guy comes up out of the mud from nowhere and he offers us this thing for 62 bucks a month, unlimited. And it's basically an AT&T hotspot, but it works, and it's been working great for 6 months. So I yanked this one down, and then of course the dish that you saw that was right here was, of course, a DirecTV dish. And since we went and got better internet, we're now streaming everything, getting rid of our $225 a month DirecTV bill. Now we're down to like $70 a month in apps, and you can get everything you want now. So all these wires were all related to all of that garbage on my house, and I wanted to get this stuff down off of here for like 6 months, and finally I got a day to do it, although it's super hot outside. So we're literally, figuratively cutting the cords, as they say. And one of the issues we had with DirecTV, we've been with them since the early 2000s, like 20 years, something like that. And they just kept bumping our bill when we weren't paying attention. And then we would call and say, hey, our bill went up another $16. Oh, sorry. So I just gave up and I quit calling. And within 6 months, our bill doubled. And then we had connectivity issues where we had them out twice. Our DVRs were recording super sloppy recordings, and then they wouldn't record anything. We swapped out DVRs, we swapped out the dish, we swapped out the power inverter box, we swapped out everything. I even got to know the guy so well, I called his cell phone twice, said, hey, it's still happening. He came up, and I paid him cash to give his best attempt. But in the end, DirecTV went through the roof. The service went nosedive to the ground, and now we're all internet dependent on everything. So all of this garbage is off of my house for good now. Took my eye out. All right, doesn't that look so much better? No wires, no dishes. They're gone forever. Now, project number 2 is, about 2.5 weeks ago, I was home and I was walking in through my kitchen and I looked out that window and I saw this whole shade structure leaning after a night of strong winds. So I freaked out. I hooked up my truck and I pulled the thing back with just the come along part. I didn't use my truck because I couldn't really gauge how far it was being pulled, but I secured it with a chain, and then I used a little come along to slowly winch it back forward and upright. So I got it upright, but the whole thing, I don't know if you could see this, I could shake this whole thing with my hand. A little bit of movement, I'm sure, would be normal, but when stuff like these are loose, see how loose that is? And when these have gotten so loose that they've got these huge gaps in them, and when you don't use the right beam brackets here, and you got stuff twisting and bending in the wind, how's that grab you? So needless to say, it needs to be retrofitted for our needs up here in the high desert. Now, the guy that built this thing was from Los Angeles, and the only contact method I had was Facebook Messenger. Didn't have a cell number because it happened so quick. I saw his pictures online and I said, hey, can you build me one of these? How much? and he gave me a really good price, 4,500 bucks. So he showed up, he built the thing and left. My wife paid him. I came home and everything's fine until the day I saw that it was leaning. So I came out here and fixed it all up, and I took pictures, and I sent him these pictures right here where you could see the level is way off, and that was on this post. It's supposed to be vertical. I sent him these end pictures with the brackets bending. I told him I hooked my truck to it. He said, I'll be there Wednesday. This was on a Monday. He never showed. I texted him through Facebook Messenger. That's all I had on him. And he said, can't make it this week. My wife's in the hospital. I said, I hope your wife's okay. And I want you to know that I'm still happy with the job, but I'm willing to pay you for anything, materials, labor, whatever's worth your time to come just fix it, because I don't want to kill anybody. And then he blocked me. Anyway, so I've had 3 other people come look at this, and none of them told me what I wanted to hear. One guy told me that the real problem was where that beam was kind of dado cut sitting on top. He said that was the problem. It's not the problem. The problem is these brackets. The other issue that we have is there should be a gap down here. If you have the right bracket here, this should be off the ground about 1/4 inch, allowing for water to pass through so these posts don't rot. So I was actually willing to live with this, since this is 1/4 inch off the ground. But also in the back, what he didn't do, instead of making the bottom of this post level with the concrete, he made it level with the dirt 2 inches lower. So anything I'm going to do here, whether it's more patio or grass, this is going to get buried, because it's all going to end up being level with the concrete. So this needs to come out, and the footing that's only about 4 inches on both sides needs to be 2 foot by 2 foot or something like that. And then this needs to be raised up, and then the right brackets need to be used to allow for water to go under. So we're going to do 4 new real brackets like these in this picture. We're going to lift this up, redig these footings, and I found someone to do it. He seems to be the right guy. We struck a deal today. He's going to be back next Saturday with all the materials, and we're going to get this thing done. So that is another project in this series of creating our little fantasy backyard. So right now I'm uncovering that pool, and I'm getting in because it's hot. All right, so we're investigating some smoke that we see right there, and it's actually a little brush fire back in this canyon. Looks like the forestry is on it. They're probably going to go report it. These guys don't have any water, so there's already about 6 or 7 trucks up in that canyon, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more on their way up right here. Let's get some bee footage here.
YouTube.
Yeah. Wow.
Is he gonna drop over
Look
us?
at that guy dropping in altitude.
Is he gonna drop over us? Oh, this is gonna be awesome. I've never seen that in person.
That's pretty impressive.
It's a Call of Duty Warzone day. See this big flame. Wow. It's so close. Look how close he is.
Right above those power lines. Look how low he is.
That's a water one. I think he carries water. Oh, no.
Oh, dude.
Oh, he just hit that old canyon. Yeah.
Why do I say oh, dude all the time? All right, it is July 3rd. You see, we had issues with the guy that built this thing. We found out that these were actually cheap T-brackets that he cut down to try to use as beam brackets. But this dude here, Richard, this dude is a stud. He showed up today with his buddy, and they're gonna bang this thing out and get this thing fixed the way it's supposed to be. So we'll update you on that when they get closer. All right, so they got the one bracket in. You can see there, and then now they're replacing this one right now. So you can see even that one beam twisted during the wind. But they're gonna straighten that all out. Oh, there it is. They're going in. Look at that. Look at that. That's what we need to have done right there. All right, even though we're partying, these dudes are working their butts off. They got all these braces done right here, here, and here. And now they're lifting the back of this thing to put new footings at the bottom where the posts were not done correctly. These guys are doing a great job. All right, so those guys put the garbage beam braces, which were T's, cut. See how that's cut? Super flimsy. They put that junk and they put this junk here. That's the junk that allowed this thing to be so flexible. Now look what we got up here. We got these real steel beam saddle bracket things. I don't know, I'm a tire guy, but they're beefy. And this thing is solid. It will not move. I've tried to wiggle it. It will not move. So then they made longer ones of these cross braces, whatever you call them. And they lag bolted them in there. And then they brought these footings. They dug out the footings that were like 4" by 4" and made them like 12 inches all the way around on each side. So 24 by 24 minus this area. And they brought them up just a hair above the level of the concrete instead of down on the dirt where they're gonna rot and stuff. So they knocked this whole thing out in 5 hours. And again, when I would hit this before, it would creak. So watch. It's not, it is so, and I'm wiggling the heck out of this thing and it's not going anywhere. Finally, I feel so much better. I was so worried that I was going to come out one morning after the wind and this thing was going to be laying over on the jacuzzi. That's why I hooked my truck to it for a month or whatever it was. So they came in and they banged it out. These guys were awesome. They came out when they said they were. They gave me a really killer price. I paid them more because I was so appreciative. And they did a great job and they cleaned up and they're out. And there's the leftovers there that I'll take care of. So really stoked about that. Now, back to another family day. When are you big kids coming in the pool? Just showing y'all, this is an undoctored video of the sunset. It is absolutely gorgeous tonight. So that sun is halfway down.